Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Utility Sports. And here we are for college football week 10 Pick'em and predictions. Of course, a series that we've started on the channel this year and something we're continuing into week 10. It's been such a crazy college football season. We've got the AP Top 25 rankings out on our channel as well, our reaction to that. So make sure you go check it out. And also, if you want to be entered for a jersey giveaway, you can win one by simply being subscribed to the channel, leaving a like on this video, and also commenting anything about the video. It could even be the words jersey giveaway. It could be the words Justin Fields, because that's the free jersey that you could win. It is a Chicago Bears jersey. And without further ado, I think it's a perfect opportunity to transition into Ohio State here with the Buckeyes, because of course, Justin Fields, a former Buckeyes quarterback, has played, pretty well in the NFL at this point. A little up and down, struggles with protection, but that's not what this video is about. This video here is about college football itself. Looking at the number 6 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes, they did actually drop one seed in the college football rankings at this point. Michigan State had a huge win against Michigan, propelled themselves up over Ohio State, who sits at 7-1, and they're going up against the Nebraska Cornhuskers here. And Ryan Day, in his time as the head coach there at Ohio State, I believe he has not lost a game in the Big Ten. I do not see that changing in this one. Ohio State, just the better team top to bottom on that roster. CJ Stroud's really picked up his play since the beginning of the year. Ohio State is locked and loaded. They've got a lot of playmakers. They've got a lot of talent on that defense as well. I would be absolutely shocked if Ohio State does not walk all over Nebraska in this one. This game, I do not expect it to be close. This is a very easy selection in my eyes. Moving into our next matchup here, we have the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, who have ascended in the AP Top 25 all the way up to number 10. This is the highest they've been ranked in program history for the football team there for Wake Forest. And they're going up against the North Carolina Tar Heels. Only 16% of America at this point has picked the Tar Heels in this game. And understandably, Wake Forest is just playing such good football. It's going to be almost impossible, you would think, for North Carolina to win this game. However, I do want to point out that I think it's possible that Wake Forest maybe has, a little bit too high of a high right now. I know they've been killing teams left and right this year, really big wins, especially, score margins for Wake Forest this year. However, do they let off the gas a little bit this week, now finally being recognized as a top 10 team in the AP Top 25? I don't think so. Wake Forest wins this one. I think they win by about 2 or 3 scores. And I think that they cruise easily against North Carolina. Now, of course, Sam Howell, he's going to try his best to have something to say about it. I just don't think UNC has the playmakers this year to really run with Wake Forest. Moving into our third matchup, this is another really, really good one. This one's on the SEC Network this Saturday, so make sure you guys watch this game because it's going to be jam-packed with talent. Ole Miss, very, very good roster. They've got a lot of nice players on that team, and it all starts at the quarterback position. Matt Corral is going to be a top 15 pick in the NFL draft for sure. Could arguably be a top 5 pick. That's the type of talent we're talking about at the quarterback position. It all depends on how the NFL draft, shakes out the order. We do have an NFL mock draft up on the channel, so make sure you go check it out as well after this video. But looking at Ole Miss here, they come in 15th ranked, 6-2, but their losses have been against really, really good opponents. I think that's the big thing with Ole Miss. They lost to Alabama and Auburn, 2 teams ranked in the top 12 in the nation right now. Those are 2 really good programs that Ole Miss lost to. They are a very, very good team. Matt Corral, really, really good at slinging the football, has really good velocity on his throws, also maneuvers in the pocket well, good using his legs out in space. But then you look at the other side of the coin here, Liberty. The Flames come in at 7-2, and they have arguably the top quarterback in this year's class, Malik Willis. I think there's going to be a little bit of a divide on which QB here in this game is seen as the top quarterback in the NFL draft. Malik Willis can do it all as a passer. However, Liberty just doesn't have the overall talent on that roster. I think Ole Miss wins probably by about 17 points, maybe a little bit tighter, maybe 13, 14-point game. I think it's going to be right in that 2 to 2.5 score range, though. I think Ole Miss walks away with this one at home. It's just going to be a tough matchup for Liberty. I think this is going to be a really good barometer game, though, for Malik Willis, and one that's definitely worth watching this weekend. Moving into our next matchup here, we have another really, really good matchup here. The Michigan State Spartans, who are just really rolling as of late. A huge win against Michigan. Kenneth Walker looked the part of a Heisman Trophy winner. We'll see if he can get the job done the rest of the season to lock up that award. But then you're looking at the Purdue Boilermakers on the other side, They've got, an ascending program defensively there specifically. The guy I want to really focus on for this pick on Purdue is George Karlaftis. He is their best player on that program right now. Very, very stout run defender off the edge. If they are going to have any chance at beating Michigan State, he is going to have to set up camp in the backfield. He's going to have to make a ton of plays on Kenneth Walker, and they're still going to need a little bit more help on top of that. Michigan State wins this game. It's just so hard to pick against Michigan State right now. Their offense is just rolling with Kenneth Walker. It's almost impossible to stop him. If anyone has a chance, I think George Karlaftis could be the guy, but I just don't see it likely that Purdue overcomes this matchup even at home. Michigan State rolls on to 9-0 and possibly could slide up into the top 4 for the college football playoffs. They need a hiccup from one of the teams in front of them, but it is very, very possible. It's essential for this team to win out, because assuming they do go on to win the Big Ten championship, possibly, of course, Ohio State's going to have a word with them about that as well. But if they go on and do that and say Alabama loses to Georgia, it's going to be tough for the competition committee to look at Michigan State as an undefeated team who won the Big Ten and say, wow, should we really keep them out and have Alabama as a 2-loss team in? I think at that point, Michigan State would force the hand of the committee to allow them into the top 4, get a chance at that college football playoffs. And then once you're in a single game setting like that, Kenneth Walker can do enough damage where maybe we look at Michigan State being a real problem throughout that process. Moving into our next game now, we have the Oklahoma State Cowboys, who are ranked 11th, had a big win this past weekend versus West Virginia. The Mountaineers here coming at 4-4. These games this week, I just don't really feel very confident that a lot of them are going to be close. I think Oklahoma State is just the better team top to bottom again. West Virginia is at home here in this one. However, Oklahoma State's shown this year that they can travel, they can play on the road, and I think that they get the job done here. The Cowboys are just a better team. That's all I can really say about this matchup, because you're looking at what they have on the run game. They are just better. They're going to outman West Virginia. I think West Virginia is going to struggle with the strength that this Cowboys team has, especially in the run game. I think Oklahoma State cruises here to a 21-point win over the West Virginia Mountaineers. Moving into our next one. Now, this is one of the best matchups of the week. We've got the Auburn Tigers and the Texas A&M Aggies. Now, 37% of America has picked the Auburn Tigers on the road here, despite them being the higher ranked team. Of course, did have the massive win this past weekend. And I think that they have a really, really good shot in this game. For me, looking at Texas A&M, it's going to be how do they control the line of scrimmage? That's going to be the massive storyline here for this game. DeMarvin Leal is going to have a good game for them on the defensive front. Kenyon Green, he's going to have to play very well on the offensive line as well. I think Auburn has a lot of nice talent. I just think Texas A&M at home probably gets it done. It's just hard for me to see Texas A&M losing this one at home. I know both of these teams are 6-2, basically hand in hand there in the rankings at 12-13. I think this is a big game for both of these programs. Very nail-biting type of game, and I think Texas A&M probably holds on of a score, maybe something we're looking at like 35-32, or maybe 35-38, something like that. I think a 3-point deficit is what we see here to decide this football game. Moving into our next one now, we have the Baylor Bears and the TCU Horned Frogs. TCU's head coach did just step down this week, so you're looking at an absolutely different team going into next week. It's always hard transitioning from head coach to head coach. You're going to have an interim in there, and for that reason, I think Baylor wins this interstate matchup. TCU just doesn't have enough to deal with Baylor in terms of roster talent right now, and then you also add in the coach change. It's just going to be very, very tough for TCU to overcome this matchup. Baylor, I think, walks to this one, wins probably by about 10-13 points. I think TCU is going to play with energy. I just don't think they have enough to actually get it done. Baylor gets the win here. Moving into our next matchup, we got the LSU Tigers, who themselves are in the midst of looking for a new head coach after everything that happened with Coach O, and then Alabama. Alabama's the better football team here. There's not a lot to say. They're in Alabama for this matchup. LSU, they have some nice pieces on that team for sure. They're still a decent program. However, Alabama, we know what they are. Just historically have been so dominant, and I just can't pick against Nick Saban here in this one. Alabama rolls in this game. They've got a lot of talent. Christian Harris at linebacker, I think he's due for a big game in this one. Jordan Battle at that safety spot as well. They got a nice young secondary. some really good offensive playmakers as well. Alabama gets this one done. LSU probably loses by about 21 to 24 points in this one. That's my estimation. Going into our next matchup here, we have the Oregon Ducks at the Washington Huskies. Now, Oregon comes in as the massive favorite here in this one. 97% of America has gone with the Oregon Ducks. However, I think that this game is going to be a lot closer than what America sees currently. I think Washington has a nice collection of talent, especially when we look at Trent McDuffie, cornerback there. He is a lockdown type of corner. I know he doesn't have the physical frame that you're looking for an elite NFL style corner, but this year in college football, he's been among the best cornerbacks in all of football. Him and Ahmad Gardner are probably the top two out there right now with their performance this year. And I think Trent McDuffie actually is a really big swing in this game because they're going to make Oregon play a little bit left-handed, take out their top wide receiver. Now, I think Oregon still has more talent in the trenches. Of course, they are playing currently without their top edge rusher, Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm going to go with the upset pick here. The Washington Huskies win this one very narrowly. I think they win by 3 points at home. This is the pick that could make me look really silly at the end of the week. So I am putting myself out here on the line a little bit, going with Washington, who's only 4-4 against the 7th-ranked team in the nation, the Oregon Ducks. I think Washington edges this one out barely in a surprise win this week. Moving into our final game of the Pickem here, we got the UTSA Roadrunners versus the UTEP Miners, University of Texas El Paso. They've had a nice season at 6-2. However, UTSA, University of Texas San Antonio, just has been so much better. They have become a team to really watch in the standings. Of course, playing in a smaller conference, find themselves at 8-0, and I think that they try and build off of some of that recent success this year. They've really built that program up over the last decade. A team that's emerged basically out of nowhere over the last 4 or 5 years. I like the way that they built their program. They get the win here in an interstate matchup. I think the Roadrunners move to 9-0, and we could see them being maybe a top 14, 13, 12 ranked team nationally. That would be awesome to monitor for UTSA. This is a massive building block for that program. It's huge to see them getting some national recognition. This will help them a lot down the road, hopefully, when they're landing transfers, when they're landing some recruits in general. Hopefully they can pull some really good talent and really build up that program there for the Roadrunners. And then the final question here, how many total points will be scored in Auburn versus Texas A&M? Remember, I thought somewhere along the lines of 38-35 or, maybe 35-31 or so. So I'm actually going to lock in with that 35-38 pick right there. And I'm going to go with 73 total points in this matchup. I'm going to go ahead, submit my picks here. Last quick run through on them just so you guys can all see them. Let me know what your thoughts are on these selections. I'd love to know who you think is going to win this game. Don't forget to leave a comment on the video as well to be entered. This is the game I'm most excited for, honestly. I don't even think it's going to be the closest game, but Ole Miss versus Liberty, two top-tier college quarterbacks battling it out. Maybe the first overall pick is playing in this game with Matt Corral or Malik Willis, depending on what NFL team ends up landing the first overall pick. There's a lot to watch this weekend in college football. I think a ton of games here in Week 10 that are worth your time watching this Saturday. Again, hopefully you guys did enjoy today's video. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up on the video. Also comment for that jersey giveaway, and we'll catch you guys in the very next Utility Sports video.